Are you working an event from the production side and you hear the word IFB or maybe in-ear, or maybe you're not even working on the production, but you're just someone who's curious about this term? Well, it basically is a tool for your event host or your speaker, and I'm going to break down exactly what this term means so that when you're in your next production meeting or working your next event, you're going to know exactly what they're talking about. Before we jump into it, I'm Logan Clements. I'm a freelance event producer based in Seattle, Washington, but I execute events here and all over the world. I do want to remind you to like, subscribe, turn on that little notification bell so you get notified every single Monday when I drop new videos. I'm also the co-host of the Better Events podcast with fellow event pro Mary Davidson. We dive even more into some of these topics that I talk about here on YouTube, everything from behind the scenes at what it was like to work at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, to talking more about how to be a stage manager, tips for your next fundraising event, you name it. Give it a listen. And if you're watching this while it's still in 2024, we are hosting the Better Events Conference, which I'm going to link below, where you can join Mary and I live, both in person, and we're doing a virtual offering. So check that out. That's December 18th and 19th, 2024. As an event producer, I am often involved in conversations where technical terms and jargon get thrown around. And one of the things I love to do about these videos is try to make it a little less jargony or make it a little more accessible for someone who is either newer to the industry or newer to the production side of things. And I find myself using some terms nowadays that I'm like, oh, maybe not everyone knows what they are. And if you've watched some of my videos before, you know I love doing some of these definitions, like little segments, because I have to then look it up myself because I have used the term IFB, but I didn't know exactly what it stood for. So IFB, right below here, is an interruptible foldback, or an intercom that lets you have a program feed as well as an interrupt cue audio for a talent to monitor. Okay, that's a lot of things. So essentially, what an IFB is it's a way for your host or your person on camera or maybe on the mic to hear a producer without having to wear a big headset. So it's this subtle little and that's why you hear it as an in-ear. It's a little like headphone that they can wear in their ear. And if they have their hair, you can't really see it. Some of the hosts who do this all the time get custom molds for their ears. I'll just show some pictures of what they look like. Or you can just have a basic kind of little like Secret Service earpiece. But the idea is it is a way, and an IFB allows them to both listen to the program feed, like if they want to hear exactly what's going out to the audience, and it allows the producer to jump in their ear and say, hey, 2 more minutes left, or hey, let's correct this. This comes more from the broadcast world, but I also use it a lot when I do live sports. We often will have an IF, and I use them, again, interchangeably, IFB or in-ear. I did Google the difference, and there are ones that if it is an in-ear, then it is more just listen only versus an IFB can kind of have a talk-back ability. If you have a really good audio person, then they can keep the mic down to the house, but they could allow the mic to go back into the producer's ear. But it is really honestly more often used as like a one-way comms and a one way to communicate between the producer or director, the person in charge, and their host in a subtle way that doesn't involve those really big headsets that I love to wear when I'm on site. It is all radio wave based. So this is something that if you have it for your event, you often need to have someone who's like a frequency coordinator to make sure your radio waves are working. As a stage manager, like at US Open Tennis or some of my basketball, a lot of my sporting events, we have this. And as a part of my daily tech check is to make sure the IFBs, the pack that the headphone goes into has batteries because it can drain pretty quickly sometimes, and to make sure I test it with our audio person so I put it in my ear and I listen and I go, yes, I can hear you. That was a good check. And making sure I'm walking around to make sure everywhere on the court or where we need it to work, that it still works. And I really encourage you to test this daily. I'm a big fan of daily tech checks, and things happen. Somebody could have bumped something and bumped one of our receivers, and all of a sudden that IFB doesn't work anymore. And there are just like a pro tip if you are someone who uses these a lot, is just making sure that like different earpieces can actually impact the settings on the actual pack. I had this happen for a host this year who had their own custom earpiece versus the company we were working with had provided us with an earpiece, and they found with their custom custom one, it really, like, the volume was really low. And so our audio tech had to adjust some of the settings in the pack itself to make it louder, not just the basic volume setting, like actually a setting in the pack, to make it work with that custom earpiece. So that is just a question now I've learned to ask my hosts. Do they have a custom earpiece, or are they going to use the one that we're providing? And just making sure you test. But this is a really cool feature and a fun way to, add some polish, I would say, to your event. You could use this in a corporate setting with your host or your MC. Again, you see it in TV whenever you see a host kind of touch their ear and saying, "This just in," or "I'm getting told, blah, blah, blah." That's using an IFB, or again, an in-ear monitor. So that's what an IFB is. Hopefully you enjoyed learning about another production term. You feel a little bit more in the know. Again, I love breaking down jargon, so please in the comments put any jargon or words that you've had that kind of trip you up, and I'm happy to do an explainer video on it so that we all can just get more informed and feel more inclusive as an event community. I'm Logan Clements. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.